Bizarre.
I had done this hundreds of times before. Houses in rich neighborhoods were my specialty. Empty most of the time, easy to get in and out. I never took too much, just enough to make it look like a random break-in. No one ever suspected a thing. Tonight was supposed to be just another job. The house sat at the end of a long, winding road, hidden behind a wall of mature oak trees. It was not a visually inviting home, but still oddly alluring. The lights were off, and the driveway was empty. A perfect score. I picked the lock easily and slipped inside. The air was thick, stale, like no one had lived here in years. The floor creaked beneath my boots as I moved through the foyer, my flashlight cutting through the darkness. Everything was curious. The furniture looked expensive but outdated, like it had been frozen in time. Dust covered everything, yet there was no sign of neglect. The walls were lined with portraits of people whose eyes seemed to follow me no matter where I moved. Then I heard it, a whisper, low, guttural, crawling through the air like a spider. I spun around, heart pounding, but there was nothing, just the empty house. I told myself it was my mind playing tricks on me. Shaking it off, I headed upstairs to the sleeping quarters. Bedrooms meant jewelry, safes, things I could sell. Once I was atop the wooden staircase, I was met with a long corridor. At the end of the hall, a door stood slightly ajar. Inside the room, a single candle sat upon an antique desk, flickering in the darkness. The air was freezing. I stepped inside, drawn to something I couldn't explain. The door suddenly slammed shut behind me. I turned, gripping my flashlight like a weapon. My breath came fast, uneven. That's when I saw him. He was sitting in a chair by the candle, smiling. I was sure he wasn't there before, but his presence was bold and ever-looming. His suit was crisp, black as the void, his skin unnaturally smooth. But his eyes were like open wounds, bleeding darkness.
Welcome,
He said, his voice dripping with amusement. I couldn't move, couldn't speak.
you've taken so much in your life.
He continued, tilting his head.
Tonight, it's my turn.
The candle went out, and the darkness swallowed me whole. I woke up to the feeling of something breathing over me. Slow, hot breaths, like a furnace exhaling against my skin. My body felt heavy, like I had been encased in concrete, but my eyes fluttered open. The devil was staring down at me. I say the devil because there was no mistaking it. The man in the suit was no man at all. His smile was too wide, his teeth too sharp. His eyes were black pits that sucked in the candlelight flickering in the room. I tried to move, but I couldn't. My arms were pinned to my sides, my legs useless. I was lying on something cold and smooth, marble maybe, a slab. He leaned closer, close enough that I could smell him. It wasn't sweat or cologne. It was putrid, burning wood, rotting flowers, and something sickly sweet.
You stole from me.
He murmured.
That's a mistake you won't get the chance to make again.
I wanted to scream, but my mouth wouldn't open. The devil reached out, his fingers brushing against my forehead. They were freezing, like dead flesh. My vision swam, the room twisting and warping like melting wax. The portraits on the walls began to change. The people in them weren't staring at me anymore. They were screaming, faces contorted in agony, eyes hollow, mouths frozen mid-wail. Their hands pressed against the glass, as if begging to be let out. I wasn't just in a house. I was in a prison.
I like to keep my thieves close.
The devil said, tapping a long, pointed nail against his chin.
Consider it a collection.
I finally found my voice, forcing a choked whisper past my dry throat. Please. Let me go. His smile stretched impossibly wide.
But you were so eager to be here tonight.
Then, he snapped his fingers. Pain exploded through me, fire licking my skin, my bones cracking like dry twigs. My vision blurred, my body folding inward. I tried to scream, but my throat closed, my breath stolen from my lungs. And then, darkness. Cold. Nothing. Then light again, but something was wrong. I couldn't move, couldn't breathe, could only watch. I was staring at the room, at the devil, standing where I had just been. He turned to face me, smiling, and that's when I understood. I was in the portrait, just another face on the wall, trapped, forever. And as the devil turned away, I heard the front door creak open downstairs. Another thief had come, and soon I wouldn't be alone.